Hello, welcome back to another Tabletop Talk. It's been a while since I have done one of these as I've been busy on my 1947 Every Game as Carded Stratomatic replay. Again, usually when I have one of these, it's just something I've been thinking about and thought I would share with everybody. So not sure how interesting it is, but I will share nonetheless. So what I've been thinking about lately is my sports sim journey, and kind of how I've kind of come almost in a full circle, and kind of wanted to share a few things about that. So just real quick, most of you know the history. I started Strat in 1984. That was the only cards and dice game I played, except for I did have Stratomatic basketball and Stratomatic football that I had and played some. But those were the only cards and dice, and then I got into computer baseball sims. Um, Micro League, Diamond Mine was my big one. I had Tony La Russa, Old Time Baseball, which was from the makers of Tony La Russa, those who might remember that. So again, got into the computer for quite a while, and then started finding that I missed the cards and dice, and got back into Strat. And from there, about a year or so ago, I started really delving into different things and some different baseball sim games, and then also some different sports. And so just wanted to talk about the journey, the experimenting, kind of what I have gathered in my journey and my experimenting. I find that in a broad sense, there's two types of people in the community. There's those who kind of get on one sim that they love, they stick with it, don't see much of a need to deviate much from that. And then the majority of us are constantly experimenting, trying different things, and just seeing what else might be out there, what we enjoy. So, um, one of the advantages to not trying different things, or a few of the advantages actually, is number one, money. If you have one or two games that you like and you stick with them, obviously you're not spending as much money as the rest of us trying different games. And then, of course, every time you try a new game, you have to get different sets in that game. So again, there's a bit of a collector for some of us, a collecting aspect to it. And so you can do the same with, if you like one game and kind of stick with it, but obviously not to the degree you can with different games, that you can delve into all of their inventory. Another advantage to staying with one or two, sticking with it, is familiarity and kind of an expertise with it. Lately, I've been playing a lot of Strat, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But obviously, the more you play a game, the quicker you get at it, the more proficient you get at it, the less times you have to check the rule book. And there's some benefit to that. You can, and kind of playing into that, another advantage is to sticking to one game, and is that you can get more games played. Um, and one my journey, one disadvantage is that it would bother me when I would try something and didn't like it, or I didn't delve into it as much as that I hoped I would, and I kind of saw that as a failure. But like most things in life, and I think I've talked about this a little bit in particular in the past, music, but anything that you're learning, there's failure, uh, that goes with the process. And I think it's important, at least for me, to be okay with that. It's not a failure if I try something and decide that I, wasn't as crazy about it as I thought I was, because then that kind of helps hone, what I am crazy about and what I do enjoy the most. And so that's not a bad thing. And so and the journey, is part of the fun if I can keep looking at it that way. Again, if I find myself beating myself up because, um, I'm not getting as far with replays and things as I would like, because I'm experimenting so much. Again, that's part of the hobby. There's nothing wrong with that. And so for those of us who like to delve into different things, it helps me to keep that in mind, that I'm not going backward. I'm like the man who invited the light bulb. His name's escaping me right now, but they ask him, why he failed so much, and he says, "Well, I just figured out 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb," and so there's some truth to that. So, another advantage to sticking with one game is that you can get more of a complete collection, in that one game that you like. For example, if APBA was your thing, and you wasn't spending your money and time on other things, not only could you get more games in, you could kind of focus more on your collection, for APBA if that was the game that you settled on and wanted to play. So, there's some advantages, to sticking with it. And again, my experience, that's the minority of the community, but I envy them in some ways because I guess one of the biggest advantage to me is getting, a lot of games played, getting some projects done. And so, but that wasn't my journey. Again, once I got back into cards and dice and I was watching all these guys on YouTube, I decided that I wanted to delve into them to see what I might be missing. And so you all know I've, tried different games, different baseball sims. I've tried different sports and have enjoyed them all very much. Wonderful games. And so, again, I guess the biggest negative was just allowing myself to enjoy the journey, the process. I think one thing for me is that to remember is that there really is no perfect game. There's no perfect way to replay. There's always going to be something in my mind that isn't perfect. And I guess when I started the journey, without really thinking about it, I was looking for that perfect thing that would scratch that itch just perfectly. And I don't believe there is such a thing. I believe most of us, once we experiment, try different things, it comes down to finding the one that comes closest, that checks the boxes. And so, again, that was important for me to remember that, there isn't anything that's going to be completely perfect for what I'm looking for, and it's like most things, it's a bit of a pipe dream. We get these ideas in our head, and we think if, we'll get that one game, and then you imagine yourself playing it and you imagine all the projects, and, very rarely does it work out that way once you actually delve into it. So, but experimenting, trying different things, it really helped me to hone, what I'm looking for. Until I tried different things, I really didn't know, what I liked. And so by experimenting, I'm learning that. And again, there's some people who don't need to do that. They know what they like, they love it, and they're going to stick with it. And then again, in some ways, I envy them. So, so some of the advantages to the journey, like mine, is the variety. It is easy for some people to get a little, if they play one game continually, it gets a little stale for some people. For some people, again, the variety of the games themselves keeps it interesting. But you got the variety. It helps you get a bigger picture. Again, by playing different games, seeing how the engines work, the different ideas, the different ways to do base running, the different ways to rate things, the different complexities. It just kind of helps me to see the big picture, again, to kind of hone what I like and what I don't like. Obviously, the excitement of getting new packages. As many of you have seen my unboxings and other unboxings on the channel, it's always exciting to get a new game. For a lot of us, the fun of learning a new game is part of the experience. So, that's kind of one of the advantages of of trying different games is the excitement of getting that new box and pulling it out and looking at the cards and trying to figure out how to play it. So, and again, that kind of goes both ways. One of the disadvantages to that is when you go from one game to another, you kind of forget some of the rules and you have to kind of do some brush up. And, again, if you're kind of set on one game, you don't have that problem. You can jump right in. And again, you're proficient at it, kind of have an expertise about it to where you can really focus on the games. And, the game itself kind of becomes secondary because it becomes more like a window to where you're looking through it to actually see the field. And when you're playing the games, you're actually focusing on the players and the game itself, not so much on the game engine. And there's some advantages to that, But again, other people like to look at the glass. They'd rather have a stained glass, and so they're more interested in that than they actually are the field. And so, where I'm going, I want probably a little bit of both, but again, probably for me, focusing more on the games themselves, what's happening in the game, and then the engine itself kind of taking a back seat. And that, of course, for me comes when I get proficient at the game and I don't have to think about, I don't have to look up rules. And so, um, again, the games I've played, they're all great games. I find that I have kind of wandered back to Stratomatic baseball, as you have seen. And again, that will change, and I will still, play some of the other games, as side projects to kind of keep it interesting. And I'm finding that after having made the journey, Strat baseball is kind of the main meal, so to speak. And so you got the added complexity of a YouTube channel. A lot of people like to see different things, and as I've said many times, the purpose of this channel is just sharing my little corner of the sports sim universe. And so it's interesting to me that I have kind of come full circle and find that, everything that I've seen and I've learned looking at other engines, even other sports, Stratomatic with the cards, with the computer, is kind of scratches the itch the most for me. And so, and again, plan on doing, more Stratomatic hockey and, more of the replay basketball, because those are wonderful games. And the ATBA and baseball. Again, it's not that I'm quitting on those games. It's just that I find that after the journey, I ended up coming back to where I started for the majority, and I feel like that the journey made it where I am that much better, if that makes any sense at all. I guess, when you haven't tried other things, the thought is, am I missing out on something? And so for me, it was kind of taking away from the experience. But after having tried so many other things, even the ones I haven't tried, I know enough about what probably they're like after trying, so many, that I have a pretty good idea of what they're going to do or not do. And so probably in the next couple weeks, I'll do I never have done a Stratomatic review like I have some of the other games. And so I probably will try to do that just to kind of flesh out a little bit more exactly what it is about Stratomatic, that baseball that I like. And I've touched and bounced around it, but, haven't done a video proper. So, again, I got the 1920 White Sox replay that I want to dig back into, because that's the one that I'm furthest along on. Got the 1947 every game. Again, that's going to be a long project. Enjoying it very much. And I also would like to finish the 54 replay baseball, Milwaukee Brave replay that I'm doing. So I did see Dave Gardner playing some hockey yesterday, and that's got me the itch to pull out the Stratomatic hockey. And I did pick up Inside the Crease hockey, and it was what little I played it was a very good game. And anyway, just wanted to share that. Don't know how interesting that is to anybody, but again, my modus operandi for these tabletop talks is just to share where I'm, what I'm thinking about. And again, I probably think about these things too much, but this is kind of what's been on my mind lately. So as usual, I would appreciate any comments. I love the comments, the interaction that we have, sharing what you're doing and thoughts that you might have. I'm up to, I think, 475 subscribers, so close to 500. So that is amazing. I appreciate everybody's support and kind words, and I'll leave it at that. So anyway, I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you next time.